we ended up going to the high tempo offense was after it was the 2010 season, and University of Oregon kind of started the trend, I guess. But took our offensive staff out there and we kind of went through some things, and probably the one that needed the biggest adjustment was myself, because I ran it that way for 11 years, and now I got to change it. So it's a big adjustment for me, but the number one reason was it simplified everything for us. From how we call things to our defense had to simplify things as well. I mean, for the whole program, the simplicity reasons was probably our top reason why we went to the no huddle. And our defensive coordinator, I guess I look at it this way. If you're an offensive coordinator today and your head coach is a defensive coordinator, good luck trying to turn over to the no huddle high tempo. But if your head coach is an offensive guy, it's probably a little bit easier. And Coach Blackburn has been really good because, I mean, there's all the misconceptions of 3-0, 3-0, 3-0, offense is out the field, defense is back on the field, and I got the diagram later of the total plays that we ran to the defense or whatever it may be. But I think the thing for him, which he likes, is he's now forced every single day in practice to snap through his calls, shorten them up. Okay, you can't have all these long verbiage calls of a front, of a blitz, of a coverage. It's something that's got to be quicker. So it really made us all think, because in practice we're trying to go as fast as we can. We trimmed our offensive playbook dramatically. Now, the offense was brought in, and when I first started here, I was the offense coordinator. So we had this thick playbook. Gosh, we had all these great plays against certain things, and I looked through that thing, and I'm like, we barely ran those plays. And our offensive playbook just kept growing and growing and growing. So we really simplified things. We don't run a lot, okay? My offensive staff does a great job of you know what? Let's do what we do, and let's do it pretty good. And they've done a great job. So we trimmed our playbook, shortened our verbiage of our plays. The other thing was control the pace. We don't have 5 years to develop a kid and get him into that. So I look back in 2010 or 2011, we weren't the biggest offensive line. We weren't the most powering. We didn't have the most dominant players, but we were 9-0, number 2 in the country, 1 game away from going to the national championship in our second year playing. Okay? And part of it was when we started going at a faster pace where now you can take away. I mean, you look at, why does Nick Saban want to change it to the 10-second rule or whatever it is? Because Alabama will beat you every single time on every snap if he has ample time to line up and scheme or whatever it is. So I think the high tempo, the no huddle, gives everybody an even kind of playing field. But it allowed us to control the pace. Our version, I mean, defenses, they want to come at you. And it gives us an opportunity to blitz the defense, try to go as fast as we have different codes and things that we can go snap with the same play, same formation, new play in a real quick pace. We can dictate it, the tempo, and then unpredictable. And defensive coordinators, like I said, they want, I mean, they're uncomfortable when we're going fast, just like an offense is uncomfortable when they're bringing all these blitzes at us. Here's kind of a breakdown. And thanks to my offensive coaches who did it. But in 9 and 10, we were no huddle, but we weren't high tempo no huddle. Okay? 11, 12, and 13, and you can see, I mean, in 12 was our national title year, and it was a special year. I don't know if we'll ever hit those numbers ever again, but you can see the difference from just traditional no huddle, we weren't trying to go as fast as we could, to where in 2011, 12, and 13, the biggest thing for me, first downs, obviously you got points per game or something, but first downs, offensive touchdowns are way up. Our offensive plays per game from when we were a no huddle, when we're going 64, 69 to in the 80s. And I'll show you on the next slide kind of the difference of how many more plays we can run. Third down, fourth down, and that thing is bad situations when you're high tempo and no huddle, and we've had pretty good success. But the other thing is you're calling plays that normally you call on third down, you're calling some of them sometimes on first down with what we're doing. So it makes it even more difficult for a defense. Here is kind of a breakdown of our plays. And there's a discrepancy in first half, second half, and we've outscored some opponents. But basically, we had over 240 more snaps than our opponents. Okay, now if you were going to go on 85 play average, we played almost 3 more plays. It's no different in basketball. The more three-pointers you shoot, the more you make, okay, the more points you're going to score. The more opportunities you snap for football, the more opportunities you're going to have to score. Yes, you need playmakers, blah, 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 all that stuff. But we come out of the gate pretty good. Within the bottom parts are scoring and how we, in our opponents scoring to the up top of the plays. So we've got over 200 more first half snaps than our opponents. Wear them down, we get up on them, and to where it's a little bit more challenging. And this is coming from a head coach who was his offensive system, and having some assistant coaches who, and seeing the transition in college football and why we would go to the no huddle or the high tempo stuff. Number one, guys, you have to believe in if you're going to go high tempo, you have to believe in it from across the board. 11 of my 14 years as a coordinator and now as a head coach and coaching the quarterbacks, we were in a no huddle. But if you're going to change, why do you want to go to the no huddle? For us, gosh, I mean, I still remember sitting in our meetings going into a bowl game against Snow College, and they were bigger, they were faster, they had a whole bunch of guys, and we felt we were pretty good. Go to the high tempo. Is that I want more snaps. I want to be more multiple. I want to get more. I want to wear the defense down, or whatever it may be. You got to make that decision of why you're going to go to the high tempo no huddle offense, and then that's going to dictate the style of no huddle. There's different styles. I mean, you look at Oklahoma, they'll get under center. Shoot, I just read an article that Oregon got under center in spring this year for the first time since how long? So there's different, maybe your emotion, maybe your personnel no huddle. You can do different things. For us, we want to go as fast as we possibly can. So we're not in 21, then 11, then 10. In 2012, we were 3-by-1, 2-by-2, 10 personnel, probably 80% of the time. Okay? This year we may be a little bit more multiple with 11 personnel and 10 personnel going back and forth. The other thing is you can't be afraid to change. And I say this is our biggest adjustment. It was my biggest adjustment. Okay? And as a coach for 11 to 14 years, calling a formation this and then changing it, it took me longer to learn than my players to learn. Okay? The other reason is, for me, I always want to put the kids in the best situation. Why run a play if they got you outnumbered? Okay, we're going to check it to the other side and run something else. Well, the whole philosophy about the tempo, okay, is you want to go fast as you possibly can. They might catch you once, but the next time we catch you, you're -1, and now we get a big play. And that was probably, like I said, my biggest adjustment, and you can't be afraid to change the way you've done it your whole life, okay? Everyone's got to buy in, and I say this from coaches, and me being an offensive guy, and as a defensive coordinator, obviously it's a little bit different. And maybe he doesn't want to have 30 snaps in a 15-minute 7-on-7 period because he wants to coach his guys, but he bought into it, my defensive staff bought into it, that guess what, this is what we're going to do as an offense. We got to adapt from a defense standpoint. So everybody's got to buy in. You can't be in your staff or your position meeting and be like, well, no one's ever going to play this fast in the game. These guys are just going at a crazy pace. We'll have a lot more time. I mean, hey, if you don't figure, you got to get the calls. We got to get rolling. Our players believe that they'll wear anybody down. I mean, I'm not saying we're gonna line up. We go play Trinity Valley in Texas. We get off the bus and I'm looking at them like, holy crap, how are we gonna beat these guys? I mean, they looked the part, but our players believe that through the course, we're gonna wear them down, okay? The other thing is be creative in your system and designing it. And I think that was, gosh, I don't know how many hours we sat in a staff room offensively trying to design our system, and how do you call it? How do you make it easier? Your signals. The biggest point of emphasis I'll give you there is whatever you tell the kids, they're going to learn, okay? The biggest adjustment was, for me, instead of calling a 2x2 Ron 9, it was now doubles right, okay? So it took me longer to learn it than the players. They don't, in our time, they didn't retain it from year 1 to year 2 as much anyways, okay? But develop it that makes sense to you, the kids are going to learn. I mean, I don't care if you call it 3x1 formation red, they're going to learn where they line up. So it doesn't necessarily have to have a rhyme or reason, they'll memorize it from that standpoint. The next thing would be is, you got to have alternative ways, and I'll say this, when I first went to the no huddle, we sat there for hours upon hours and had 3 different ways to call inside zone, 3 different ways to call outside zone, 3 different ways to call this. You don't need it, okay? I don't know if in my time we've used an alternate way to call a play in the last 3 years. And I say that because who's going to know it? The opposing coaches might get your signals or might figure it out, but by the time they're relaying it out to their players, it don't matter. So you got to have some. We play some people twice. You probably got to have something alternative of a way to get the same play if you're running it over and over and over again. But I wouldn't spend a bunch of time with it because we barely use it. The tempos that we use, and the first ones are number 1. We don't give a signal. It's not necessarily we change tempos, but the regular tempo is as fast as we possibly can go. As soon as we can get it in, we're rolling, okay? The procedure for it is we have signalers. We don't have dummy signalers, okay? So we don't have one guy who's hot the first half, the other guy who's hot the second half. I have 2 or 3 guys, they're giving the same signals every time. Everybody gets the signal except for the O-line, okay? The quarterback then will take the signal and tell the offensive line what they need to know. They don't need to know that we're running smash. All they need to know is that we're running this type of protection. So we'll give them the protection. The crazy thing is, guys, and hopefully none of you guys go and talk to any of the teams that we play, but if it's a number, it's a pass. I mean, a pass protection. We do have some other things. But I mean, so you say that, and if they hear 14, 15, 4, 5, 0, 1, it's a pass. And no one's ever, I've never heard of any of our players come up, they know it's a pass because of our call. So they're trying to get their calls because we're going so fast. They don't have an opportunity. So we want to go as fast as possible. The other thing that I'll say on it is if you're looking at it or you're doing it, go as fast as possible. It's a lot easier to slow you down than to speed you up. So we go as fast as we possibly can, and we can tone it back if we want. The next one is our wrist guard. We don't use it. Did we use it last year? Not once. They still all wear a wristband, and we have plays on them. And we have a numbering system, okay, that we can go, and we call it jet. So we give a signal like jet, and then a number tree. Okay, so if we go jet, say 22, they look, and all the quarterback has to echo to the line is jet 22. The line looks, they're like 22, okay, that's the play we're running. The receivers can see jet 22, they can look at the wristband, okay, we're running inside zone right with the ball. So, like I said, we don't use it a ton. We didn't use it last year. But we do use the next one a lot more. And that's our look back to the sidelines. The whole purpose to it is that you can go jet 22, snap, go run a play. You don't have to tell them eagle right, so, or eagle right to the alignment so no one can know. Well, the next one, for instance, we'll go jet 99, and they're supposed to look at the wristband. There's no 99 on the play, or on the wristband, so it's a dead play. So we'll go down and say hut, and then everybody looks to the sidelines, and then we give them a play. So that's kind of our big thing. Now the big thing here is we work with this look back is if we get someone to jump off sides, the center snaps the football, and we throw a fade on the outside. Just a free shot. And we've had a lot of success with that. Teams that, like in our bowl game, personally I believe as the season goes on, we do this probably a little bit more than we do at the beginning. Teams see us a lot, they may make some adjustments. Teams that do multiple blitzes or play at kind of multiple fronts, we're going to blitz, look back, or jet check more than we normally do. We don't a ton. A lot of times it works into our jet check, but we can check with me if we want to base it on you want to run this play to a one technique, we could go cowboy check, okay? Quarterback then is just going cowboy, he sees the one technique, and then he'll go hot or cold, right or left, whatever he wants to do. So we don't use it a ton. The biggest thing that I think that I like the most is the three code, or the code system. Number one, you can give them any name you want. But one is a signal instead of giving, and it's not that big of a difference, but if, say for instance, if we go doubles right, with our thumbs up as doubles right, and the next time we want the same signal, or the same formation, we can give them a flash. Okay, we don't have to give doubles right signal. That just aligns them in the same formation, okay? And just a speedy way to do it. The next one though, super, turbo, whatever you want to call it, is the identical formation, or the same formation, the same play. That in 2010, we ran the same play 7 straight times against the team. And it's one signal. If it's this, whatever you want to give it, it's the same formation, same play. They can't substitute. A lot of times it's down more in the red zone, okay, where they got a long ways to substitute if they want to. But if you get them in a good look, and you want to run the same play, run it again. It's one way instead of going pro right, hippo right, whatever it may be. Now we just give one signal. It's the same exact thing. This one is probably, we didn't run it a ton this year, but the last one might be one of my favorites, is we give one signal, and our players know it's 3 straight plays. We don't have to signal anything after that. And for instance, we call one pot, okay? We're stirring a pot. If we give them a pot signal, our players know it's pro right, outside zone right. We don't even have to give anything. It's tight end, dead trips, inside zone with a bubble. They know that they come back and they're tight end trips, jet check. Now in case it's 3rd and 4, okay? So we'll have a couple of these that we'll use where give one signal, 3 straight plays. We don't have to signal anything else. I'll say this, in all the times that we run it, after the 2nd play, we got a first down. Again, they're just dead sprinting. The other one that we don't have up here that we've talked about is say you run an outside zone to the right and it goes for 30, and the backside corner makes the tackle 30 yards down the field. We've talked about maybe adding a automatic double move to that guy the next play. We're taking a shot, okay? I don't care how good he is, whatever it is. He just ran 30 yards across the field, 30 yards down the field, made the tackle. Now we're going to automatically come back, boom, take a shot right at him. So I mean, you can add to. We had 3 empty formations, motion back into the backfield, whatever it is. We had a wildcat formation. But the thing is, the kids know they're going to learn, and so when they say pot, I mean, I hear linemen, they're like Minnesota right, or whatever it is, and they're going back and forth. The other thing from the high tempo stuff, is your practice. And I believe you have to practice it. There's some little details here. And you'll see that if you come to practice tomorrow, we're doing a 10-minute team takeoff period against air. We're not looking at necessarily assignments up front. We're looking at routes. But what we're looking for is we're gonna film it continuously. We're not gonna pause it in between plays. So it might be a 30-second clip. Once we run the play and the whistle's blown and we have our kickers spot the ball or a manager or whatever, we want them, once the whistle's blown, to be looking back, coaching them. We're coaching them not necessarily of what route they're supposed to be running or what technique they're supposed to be doing, but of how you're supposed to, after the play's over, to be looking to the sidelines to get it as you're running to your location. Okay, so if we're in trips and now we're going to doubles from back-to-back plays, you got to be running to your spot as you're looking back at the signal. So we're going to film it, get the ball to the official. We could do probably a better job of that, to be honest with you. Rather than, here's my take, especially in junior college, and I even know it happens in Division I. But if I'm an official and I run the ball, or so I'm a player, I run the ball, and I drop it right there, is that official going to run, get the ball, and then go place it? No, he's not going to. But if I get tackled and I have the ball, and as I'm running back to where I need to go, and I toss the official the football, it's probably going to get spotted a lot faster. The quicker you get it spotted, the faster you're going to be able to get the next snap on. So we work with them on it. And that's part of it, and filming it and all that stuff. The other thing that I've learned, and yes, we don't get a ton of time with it. It's not like we control our players. So I can compare it to high school. We may get, quarterbacks, I get an hour a day in between their, some of our other positions got to go either later at night or early in the mornings to get maybe 2 or 3 hours a week with them. But you're gonna spend some time, and you gotta spend some time in the field room coaching them rather than on the field. Okay? And we don't get as much as we'd like to get. But I think that's the biggest thing is we're running plays. We don't redo too many plays. I mean, if it's a bad snap, maybe I'll redo it. But I remember running power, tight end don't make the block, you're pissed, blow it, run it again. The DN knows what you're doing, you run it again. He does the same damn thing, run it again. You want to run it until it's perfect. Well, the fact is, you're not ever going to get the perfect one, then you're going to roll over. We don't do a lot of redos. Okay, we got it on film, let's try to correct it. If we finish our periods, maybe we'll have enough time. The other thing is, from me as a quarterback coach, is you're going to, like my guys are going to know my code words. So I'm not going to sit there. You got to look at the Sam linebacker, watch his depth, see where he's going. I mean, all I'm saying is, if we're running our mesh stuff, and I'm like, strong safety, strong safety, strong safety, hanger, 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 whatever it may be, rocker throw, rocker throw, rocker throw. So I'm not spending a bunch of time with a lot of verbiage to my players. They know the code words from my meetings of what I'm looking for. And you're really they're going to learn that all I got to do is scream. Like if my quarterback's and I'm saying rocker throw, or Mike strong, they know what I'm talking about. So I don't have to say, well, the Mike's over here, so you keep them over here and you come back to the left. So we're coaching in a lot less words. And maybe I've been talking fast up here, but that's kind of the way it goes as well. The other thing is practice, and I'm not going to spend a bunch of time with it, but number one is try to be organized as you possibly can. And like I said, I understand. I'm fortunate here with the staff and the administration that they allow me to have, but I've also been on the other end where I was the only one there and all my other guys are doing something else. But you still got to script it and be prepared from down and distance hash personnel formation play and then put in the defense. The number one thing for a no-huddle offense is how do you get your scout team aligned? Well, guess what? probably 80% of the time, if you're going at the pace you want, your opponent's going to line correctly all the time, because we're going so fast. So yes, we're not always going to get the right look. He might not be in the proper technique that we would see in a game, but you got to be prepared to block. We cut, and this was maybe an adjustment for me. I worked for a guy that we were 3-hour marathon practices, and I understand this is we have scout teams. Not every high school team is going to be on a scout team, but we don't go. We go an hour and a half during the season, 90 minutes. I mean, we don't go that long. And maybe my defense coordinator wants to go a little bit longer because he's got to be with the scout team offense. But we're going to run our plays, we're going to get through it, and we're going to go to the next period. It's not about running, so we're not overworking our guys. We'll get 30-plus plays in a 15-minute 7-on-7 session during the season. Now, during the fall, or during the spring, it's a little bit different because we're rotating groups. But during the season, we can get a bunch of plays in. And then if we have to, and we've maybe done it a couple times where we may come back through, say we finish in 20 minutes, we may go back through and try to rerun a few plays. But otherwise, guys, let's run them. And our kids know it. They're going to do something stretch. In the 7-on-7, the one thing we got from Oregon was we don't call it inside run. It's 11-on-11, okay? And we call it run, play, action. So it's only run game and only play, action, pass. And that was kind of one of the big things we got from there, which I really liked. Offensively, we do a pup period, plays under pressure. So we put their top blitzes, let them go, bring them at us, and then we prepare our plays versus pressure. Okay? Then we go to a team, and then this day we did a team ones versus ones, and then we're done. So we try to get in and out, get our plays run, don't get too crazy with it. Any questions before I get into this? Any questions on no huddle, packaging, system, tempos? Nothing? All right. I say this, and as a quarterback coach and coaching at the Division II level and the junior college level, guys, I think my biggest thing that I try to do is it's got to be quarterback friendly, and you got to adapt to your quarterback. Every single one of these guys is different. Okay, from a dual threat pocket, just a runner, whatever it may be. Unfortunately for me, is I had a guy in here and up there in the McNear and Allen kid that could do them both, and they were pretty good at it. But I say this is the most I've had a guy was 2 years, ever. And you know, in McNear's case, it was over a 2-year period. His statistics. And I was looking at it today, and I'm like, boy, whenever our best years are when we're throwing about 300 times a game, you know, in that average. This year we threw probably a lot more than I thought we did. But the thing for me is not necessarily yardage, touchdowns, blah, blah, blah. It's the completion percentage that we look at. And what I'm going to get into here is some of the things that I'm looking at quarterback-wise and some of the things that I look for quarterback-wise. And all these guys are so different, but you have to tailor your offense or what you're going to do to the strength of your quarterback. Just like I got a new quarterback every 2 years or every year, you are going to have one. If you get a kid for 3 years, you're in a great situation. Okay? For me, shoot, I've had maybe a couple of them for 2 years. The rest are 1 year and done. So the thing I look for, number one, is accuracy. Jake Waters was unbelievable. Okay, we do drills and he's putting it in the net 95% of the time. Okay, so now does it mean in order to play for me you got to have best accuracy? Maybe not so. But that's the thing that we work on with our nets and the things that we want, because I got to have you when it's a bubble screen or it's a speed out or something like that, I got to have the completion. In the high tempo, it's 1st and 10. I got to have you complete that speed up. It's now 2nd and 6. If I'm not sure you're 50-50 on that thing, we could be 2nd and 10. You're probably not going to play too long for us. The next thing would be knowledge. Does he want to learn the game? Is he a guy that's going to spend a whole bunch of time in the film room to understand what someone's trying to do? And I'll say this in my last 2 quarterbacks, which were the last 3 years, and we went 21-2, 33-3, or whatever it was in the last 3 years. They were extremely knowledgeable in the game. Okay, they knew what was going on over there, took notes, whatever it may be. So that's a huge thing for me, accuracy and knowledge. Again, you don't see it, and I'm saying this as, yes, you want a good leader, you want guys to follow him and all that stuff, so this is more of the fundamental part of it. But yes, we want the good leaders as well. But the next thing would be footwork. I don't get guys who have always the big-time arms, but your strength and your arm strength doesn't always come from your arm. So I want to make sure that if they're in position to make the throw, okay, or if it's open, they got to get themselves in position to make the throw. Moving your feet, no false steps. Maybe I got a guy with a little bit longer delivery. He's got to anticipate a little bit more. I got a couple of them this year. Their delivery is a little bit longer, so their feet have got to be really, really important. And then release, okay? And that's probably the thing right now, this spring that we're working on, is we have some slower releases maybe with our kids. So what that means is you have to now anticipate it, throw it before it becomes open rather than when it's open. So if you have a slower release, you better have the unbelievable knowledge and accuracy with it. So I don't necessarily, there's no big time arm. You know, can throw the thing a mile down here, because I've had, we've won some games with very average arms, but it's all in their footwork and timing and getting the ball out of their hands. And number one thing is accuracy. Keys to success for me as a quarterback, and I think the thing that we've done a great job with is you have to build your system around your QB. We all know I look back at what Stout was in 2010. Big time arm, dad played in the NFL, could make any throw that you guys would ask him to do. You want to throw a 25-yard deep out route, he can put it on the money. Okay? He was absolutely horrible from 10 yards in the, maybe 8 yards in the, whatever it was, our quick game. We didn't run quick game. He couldn't throw a crossing route. He wasn't very good at it. We were a vertical pass game that year. Okay? The year before that, I had a guy with a very, very weak arm, long delivery, and we were a little bit, we were a 2-quarterback system, but we were maybe more of that shorter intermediate pass game. A guy like Jake Waters, who's deadly accurate, and we could throw it down the field and short pass game, and he could run it. Okay? Zach could not run at all. We didn't, that year we didn't run, shoot, I think he had negative yards rushing. Okay, total. But you have to, you guys don't get to pick. When we get to recruit, so there's maybe a bad couple years for me of not being able to recruit the guy that I'm looking for, but you're getting what you got. Okay? So if that's the case, you have to tailor your offense. You have to be open up. I mean, we're a zone read, triple option type team. If I got, last year, I don't know how many yards Connor had rushing. Not very many, okay? He went to Troy, but we were different than 2012, and I didn't run Jake Waters a ton, but I'll tell you what, in the key games, Jake Waters ran. So you got to tailor it a little bit to him, without going from West Coast to wing T. I'm not saying change that from that standpoint, but you have to have some flexibility within your offensive scheme. If I'm not a zone read, triple option quarterback run type guy, I better find ways to still be able to run the zone, but build it in that he can throw some quick things where some of my guys are talking about later. How much time I got, Coach?
about 45 minutes.
Coach, can I backtrack to your
Yes.
practice real quick? So you do your 11-on-11 inside run and play action pass, and did I see 7-on-7 after that?
Yeah.
What do your coaches go coaching linemen up?
A lot of times we'll go like run, play action, and then go 7-on-7. And like now in the spring, they get extra indie time, or they'll split it and they'll go one-on-one, O-line, D-line, in pass pro. Just trying to, I mean, I think the one thing is my O-line and D-line coaches get a whole bunch of indie time, which I think is, or walk-through time, whatever it may be. So some everyday drills and like I said, we can go through this, warm-up drills. You guys got them, the knee drills, whatever you want to warm up their arms. As playing quarterback, guys, to be honest with you, I think warm-up drills are BS. Okay, as far as they're not necessarily always working on their technique. Quarterbacks they're just taking it and throwing it or whatever. They think their arms warm. They don't know. You got to throw a little bit. So I let them do that. Okay, whatever they want to do to warm up their arms. But from that point forward, from our bag drills that we do, everyday bag drills, and basically all I'm doing, and it ends up being footwork, throwing, they're loosening up their arms, all that good stuff. But I'll put, 5 bags, whatever up. They're just going through them. Okay? Their eyes, if I have a net, I'll put a net here or somebody that can catch. They're just going through them, back and forth. Okay? I want their eyes at their target. The big thing for me is there's 2 things. Number 1 is you can't ever knock your ankles. Okay? So as I'm moving in the bags, just like playing basketball and playing defense, I mean, they don't ever want them to be close together, knocking your ankles. So I'm always stressing, I just want the short base, nice and easy, moving for a couple reasons. Number 1 is that window only happens so fast. So if I'm caught right here and he's open, what do I got to do? I got to get my base and then I got to step and throw. Now it's too late. So I want to work on their base, make sure their eyes are down here, going through bags. The other thing is every time they're moving to the right or to the left to go to the next bag, is always move with your back foot. And I have some guys that do a great job of it, and I mean this by even in the pocket. If I'm in the pocket and it's going, and I move with my left foot, my front foot, and now I got to bring my back foot it in the ground, and then step and throw. Now it's covered up. I'm running curl flat. He jumps the out route, okay, and I got to throw the curl, and I'm here. By the time I go here and here, he's covered up. So I really stress to them every time they're moving side to side within the pocket, move with your back foot. You don't have to get a lot of depth, but move yourself here. And no false steps, because a lot of times they'll be like going this way, back and forth. So I want them to move with their back foot in between as they're going through. So we're working on our feet, and then I'll just give them a ball call. Anytime throughout, I can ball. And I want them to put the foot in the ground, and I want them to get it out as quick as they can. So as they're going through it, it's not full speed. I mean, they're 3/4 speed moving through. I'll go ball. I want it in the ground. I want it out. Now we're working on the accuracy part. 1 quick release, 2 accuracy of trying to throw it in the net. Okay? They'll go through that a couple times every day. The quick release drill into the net. Again, what I said was accuracy, quick release are some of the things that are most important to me. I'll have them drop, not necessarily a 3-step drop, one of those big stand-up nets. You don't necessarily have to have a net. Someone catching, and they're just dropping. Now you can work on their drop, okay? You can work on them staying on the line on their drop, but at any time I'll make a ball call. Again, foot in the ground and go. So that's one of the big ones. So we go just a normal drop. Then I'll have them, the net's back here as they're jogging out, and I'll go ball, boom, and then they try to throw the net. Again, it's all about getting your feet in the ground, get the ball out, quick release, and trying to be accurate with it. Okay? We can do it the other way where we make them spin all the way around, boom this way, and step and throw. So we're going to do most of those throughout just about every individual period. If I have guys, and again, a lot of times in high school, the thing that I say is there's a circle, big old circle as a quarterback, right here. Wherever you place it. So everybody's going to say in the old times it's get the ball up, get the ball up, get the ball up. Well, if the ball's up, okay, where does it go first? Down, right? So for me, it's not necessarily, in a perfect world, I want it right about your chest, okay? But what I want to see is where the ball is, and I want to cut the circle in half. So here's the circle, I want to cut it in half with my release. So if I have a guy with a long release, and I have a couple of them right now that are big wind-up release guys, I'm going to do what we call a rapid fire drill. So basically, I put them in a position, they're in the throwing position, they're pointing like they're stepping and throwing, and I'm going to have about 4 footballs there. And I'll film them right from here. And all we do is we just feed them footballs. So someone feeds me a football, and boom, right here. Boom, right here. And then I'll film it, and you'll be surprised. I've seen it from NFL quarterbacks of a guy with a long delivery, and then you do rapid fire, and they're perfect. Okay? So all we're trying to do is make that throwing motion down to them, but feed them footballs to get rid of the football quickly so they don't need that big long release with it. They can catch it, throw it up, catch it, throw it up. So we'll do that one. We don't do it every single day, but we'll do it quite frequently. And again, it's just, I'm about getting it out quickly and being accurate with it. And so some of my other, we do some pockets or some drops and things like that. But the next ones are pocket movement drills, and which jumps me kind of to my next one. But you'd be surprised, and I watch our film and how disappointed sometimes I get. But 7-on-7, you have to do it. It's absolutely the worst drill for a quarterback, probably. Because how many times, if you look back in your game film, how many times in a game, if you're under center or in the gun, does he take a 5-step drop, nobody around him, nice, easy, boom, make the throw? I had a quarterback that was an unbelievable 7-on-7 guy. Pretty throw, pretty ball, make all the reads, but you put the 10 guys in front of them, it's out the window. So we do some things of, again, where you got to keep your eyes downfield. The number one thing for a quarterback is if it's a bad snap or whatever happens, if you lose your read, what's the first thing you look for? So if I get a bad snap here, and I'm supposed to be reading the flat defender over here, the first thing I look for now is a blue jersey. So I'm looking for now my guy. But guess what I forgot? It's the defender that I needed to read before. So you're catching yourself. You've been here, you're going, okay, where's my white guy? He's open. Oh, shoot, that linebacker right there was following me, picks it up. So we're always going to do some things of making sure, trying to keep their eyes downfield. I'll be the snapper. They'll drop back. I'll have a couple other quarterbacks, again, come way up, 2 of them come way up the field. My eyes are down the field. I see them coming up the field, but I'm looking straight ahead. I just step up, make the throw. Next time I'll tell one guy to come underneath. Guess who will come over the top? So I drop back. He's coming underneath. My eyes are still down there. I just move, make the throw. Moving yourself within the pocket. Then I'll send them right directly at him from the front or the back. He comes right directly at me from the back. I spin out, get away, set, make the throw. Okay? The other one that I'll do, and it's if I have cones, I can place cones out there from the center of quarterback. As he drops in this 3-step drop off, I can have a cone, or I'll throw a bean bag or throw something. I throw it over here. He runs to that, sets his feet. I throw one over here. He gets over here. So it's, again, just moving, setting, throwing, basically is all it is. Now, we still have 4 cones. I'll spin him. He drops back here. I'll point to that cone. He'll spin out, get set up, make the throw. So I believe that you have to move them and make throws. Because again, if I'm sitting here and I can go 1, 2, 3, nobody and make a throw all day. But if I go 1, 2, 3, oh, I got a window, I got to move to get it, it's going to help you from an accuracy standpoint. Moving your feet, blah, blah, blah. The next one, and I heard this at a clinic, 14, or 12 years ago or whatever, and I don't even remember the percentages. But there was something in the NFL that year, quarterbacks missed 30% of their check down routes or whatever it was. And it made a lot of sense to me because we were a bubble team, a bubble screen. We threw a lot of bubbles, but that year absolutely we could not complete a bubble screen. As a former quarterback, somebody catch it, and we were under center at the time, getting the snap here and the bubble screen right there, how can't you complete that one? And we cussed up and down at that quarter, well, how can you not complete that? But then I go back and I'm like, we never really practiced it. So how can you expect to complete all those balls if you never throw them? Yes, we throw, a lot of times in indie drills, you're going post corner, the deep ones, a post, whatever, but you forget, like for us in our offense, probably, 60% of them, speed up, bubble, little hitch, the majority of our offense, little under route. So you have to practice those throws, and we have a drill. We call it got it taken. And we're a big zone triple option. Hopefully I'm not taking from one of the coaches. Got it, take it drill. Over here. How much time I got, Coach?
About 10 minutes.
Okay, so we can go from both sides. But for us, we're a big bubble screen team. Okay, so we're throwing bubbles, but our back's got to stay in the path. We're calling it inside zone. So we call it got to take it. So we'll have the running backs in. The running back is going to be on my left-hand side. I got the bubble going over here. They're staying on their course. All I want the quarterback to do is the catch, drop, we call it rocker. Okay, they're like in a rocking chair. They're going to catch, rocker, throw the bubble to the left. The back stays on his course. He's not getting the ball. But all we're looking at is that staying on that course. Proper footwork. Then the next drill from it is what we call our triple drill. So now the quarterback, we might have another quarterback being the defensive end. Now we don't have it. It's not automatic that we're throwing the bubble. So we're catching it. Now we're reading the defensive end. If he crashes, now we pull and we're running, and then we can throw the triple or the bubble. Again, the whole thing is we throw a lot of. We ran inside zone I don't know what the statistics were this year, but in 2012 we called inside zone in some capacity 900 times. Or 900. 300 of those 900, we threw the ball. So it's a run play call, but we threw it 1/3 of the time.
Speaking of that, Coach, besides your zone bubble, do you have any other run pass combos that you really like?
We do, and is Mike going to speak on some of them?
I'll talk a little about
He'll talk on some with our stick concept with the screen or inside zone, draw type of thing. We do have a bunch. But I think you want to get creative that way. For me, it's whenever we're sitting there, we're like, okay, we're running this play. We like this play, but dang it, they got an extra defender right there. So how can we sneak someone over the top of them or whatever it may be in the combos? The other thing, so we're throwing bubbles. The other thing, speed out, check downs. That's probably the biggest one. We're not very good at it right now, of how easy it is to throw. Again, you should be able to complete, you would think, 100% of the times, a running back wide open in the flat. You're not trying to put it to a specific shoulder or just put it on him. Dropping back, you're reading down the field house and nobody's open. Now you got to turn quick and throw it to the running back. And you throw it behind him, you throw it high, you defense can collapse on them. So again, we spend a lot of time on that, making sure that they're practicing those throws that we're throwing a heck of a lot of time. Finally, I'm going to get just a couple things and I'll open up to questions. And this is from a quarterback standpoint, but number one, camp install, and this is just a broad point. But guys, your go-to plays, I mean, we put in inside zone the first day. Inside zone and bubbles going in the first day. I look back, our number one play is inside zone with bubble. This spring, the first day, we put in mesh, the mesh pass game, okay? Because the sooner you put it in, the better you're going to get at it. I mean, I look at some of the plays, if I look back at last year's install, and I'm like, gosh, we didn't put this play in until 10 days in camp. No wonder why we never ran it, okay? So yes, your bread and butter, put it in. Get it in. The earlier you put it in, the more you run it. Yes, you don't run it as many times, but at least the kids are thinking about it, not 10 days into camp. Because how many times, myself included, and I looked at it this year, we had a play-action passing play that I'm like, we ran this thing 15 times and probably averaged 30 yards of play with it. Why the hell didn't we run it more? So it's the same thing here. We'll look through and you season-end eval, we got this play averaged 8 yards of play and we only ran it 32 times. I'll tell you this much, if you put it in earlier in camp, I'm guessing you're going to be better at it. So I say this is the reason we put mesh in this year, the first day in fall camp. We weren't very great in the red zone this year against man coverage. So we needed something in man coverage, but mesh is not a play you can put in fifth game of the season. It takes a lot of work. So we put it in the first day of spring, see how it looks, and we're actually not too bad at it right now. And hopefully we can continue to use it as we go into the season. One year we may put in our cross game the first day. The next year may be our vertical game. I've had times where our number one pass play is wagon. Okay? Put it in day one, we ran that thing the most. So just from a coaching standpoint of wanting to improve your offense, if you look at it, you're like, we got to be better at power. Okay? And you look at when you put power and you put it in day 10 or day 5, then you put it in day 1 if that's something you want to improve on. Okay? And again, our defensive coaches are pretty good at it because, to me, I'll put in shoot day 2, we might be an empty. Okay, now that puts a lot of stress on the defensive coach of making all these checks and changes and things like that. But I want to make sure that we're getting our stuff in offensively. The other thing is community. You have to at that position. I was guilty. I sometimes still am guilty of it. Is we spend all the time coaching or evaluating or looking at film and diagramming a great new play for our next opponent. And I sit there and I'll come in to a staff room on Tuesday morning. I'm like, I got this great one of how they play it. We're going to run this. There's no way they can cover it. And then we put it in. It takes us a couple days to install it and get good at it. But it's not if it's the best play for me or if I like it or my assistant coaches like it. The quarterback, you're going to know if the quarterback's comfortable with the play or not. If he is not comfortable, throw the dang thing up. Don't run it. Don't spend time practicing on the play if he's not comfortable with it. I'll ask him, say on Thursday, what do you think of this play? And last year, Connor's like, I love it. Shit, we'll run it then, okay? Because I'm not the one throwing it, I'm not the one completing it. If he's comfortable with it, like I put in these vertical games and all this different stuff, and all of a sudden he drops back and he doesn't have confidence in his arm strength to get it, up and down in a quick window of 22 yards, don't run it. Okay? You might be wide open every single time you run it, but if he doesn't have confidence in throwing it, he ain't throwing it, okay? So talk to him. New adjustments, his likes, his dislikes. What is your favorite play? Because I'll tell you this much, if it's his favorite play, it's pretty confident. There's a reason why it's his favorite. It's not because it gains 50 yards every play. He knows the read. He knows exactly where to go with the football. He understands how a defense is playing it. So I'll try to find those things that are their likes and dislikes. I'm not sure on this one, or I struggle on this one. Well, shoot, in practice film, I can figure out which ones are their dislikes after a few days, because they're not very successful. And then, just like any quarterbacks,